We're seeing a sad trend on the rise in the Valley this Domestic Violence Awareness Month. With the last two shootings involving Metro Police, they were called to the scene of a domestic dispute. Joining us now on Behind the Badge and to talk about how to see the signs and to get out of an abusive relationship is Metro Sergeant Miguel Garcia and victim advocate Jenna Halili. Thank you both so much for joining us.
Well, good morning, Alyssa. Thank you for having us. And domestic violence is one of those topics that we like to talk about a lot because we see it so often in our line of work. And yes, domestic violence is the #1 call for service that our police officers deal with day to day. And today we're trying to talk about a little bit about resources and what can people do to try and help someone in a domestic abusive relationship. And that's why with me here today is victims advocate Jenna Halili, and she'll give us a little bit more tips on what to do and what to look for.
Absolutely. And Jenna, you can tell us in a little bit what kind of help a victim advocate like yourself can provide. But first, let's talk about the signs of an abusive relationship. What should family and friends, or even us in the relationship, be looking out for?
Thank you, Alyssa, for having me today. I'm excited to kind of shed a light on domestic violence. One of the most common questions is, what are the signs? And one of the biggest indicators can be a change in behavior. Often that means someone who is the life of the party, who talks a lot, is always at gatherings, may not be doing that as much anymore, and maybe more recluse than normal. Another sign is a very isolation is huge. They're pushing people away. They're not talking. So I think the most important takeaway is that family and friends to be very open to listening to them and being someone they trust.
And I think it can be hard, too, to reach out to family or friends because they may feel like there could be judgment and their decision to not leave if they're not ready. So let's talk about victim advocacy and how you help victims of domestic abuse.
Well, I'm actually a victim advocate with Metro, but I work at the Family Justice Center, which is a one-stop shop for victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. We are a collection of partners, and we help with resources, helpful hints, and helping sign up for programs that are super helpful for victims in these situations.
And where can people find information about Family Justice Center? If this is a one-stop shop, we definitely want to get it out there.
Yes, of course. You can actually go on the LVMPD website.
Okay.
On the front page, there'll be a portion that says Police Services, and under that you can find the Southern Nevada Family Justice Center or even the Victim Services Unit, which I'm a part of.
Okay. And Miguel, at the beginning of this, we talked about the last two officer-involved shootings being domestic disputes. These are known to turn very violent, especially when police are involved. Why is that the case?
Well, I don't think they turn violent when police are involved, right? They're turned violent because of the actions of the individual that is the abuser in this type of relationships. And sometimes a domestic situation might be a simple argument, but it can lead to violence. It can lead to some serious injuries to the victims, and that's why it's important for us as police officers to gather as much information as we can and try and help the victims. The sooner we get them the help, the better. And we were talking about resources, and one thing I want to point out is our police officers now are giving a card that has a QRF code on it that we give to the victims, where they can actually scan it, and they're able to get help from the Family Justice Center a lot quicker than before, so we can get them out of those relationships.
Okay. And what I actually meant to say was not that it turns violent when police get involved, but it is a dangerous call for police to go on. So, yeah, we definitely want to get the resources and information out there before it becomes a violent or even deadly situation. Thank you both so much for joining us this morning. We really appreciate it. And if you have a question for Metro, you can send an email to behindthebadge@fox5vegas.com.